I'm John Law, this is Chasing Cars, and next to me is the 6th generation Toyota RAV4. It's a nameplate that's been around for some time, but only really found its legs in Australia in 5th generation form, where various factors, including spacious interior, good to drive, excellent ride quality, and hybrid efficiency, plus depreciation resistance made it essentially the perfect family vehicle. From then it went to sell on a storm. Demand way outstripped supply for multiple years. Only in the last two has Toyota really been able to get enough RAV4s built and sent to Australia to satisfy demand. And now it's being replaced with a model that is described as all new by Toyota, but is really a heavy overhaul of the underpinnings that already existed. And I think that's a good thing in this case, because the TNGA-K architecture underneath this RAV4 has never been its issue. It's always been a really nice car to drive. And today we've been lucky enough to get an early look at this RAV4 in mid-spec edge guise, including getting to drive it briefly on-road and off-road here at the AARC Proving Ground. I'd love to hear your thoughts and comments about the new look RAV4 down below. Hit subscribe if you haven't done so already, and let's get right into it. Chasing Cars, honest reviews of your next car.
Brought to you by
Just like the 5th gen car at the end of its life, the new RAV4 is all hybrid, but there is a twist because at the top there will be two plug-in hybrid versions offered, either in XSE guise or in top-spec GR Sport guise. As I mentioned at the top, this is the Edge. This is the mid-spec now. It used to be a range topper, but now it's sort of a mid-spec adventure-themed grade. And I happen to think it's one of the best looking in the lineup. I really like what Toyota's done with the new front end here, this hammerhead design. This corporate design fits nicely among the rest of the range without being too samey like babushka dolls, for example. We come down the side and you can tell this is the Edge because it has a little bit of extra black styling, black mirror caps, black wheels there. It all looks quite good, quite well pulled together. There are a couple of angles where it looks a little strange. I think down the side here it can tend to look a little bit like a Nissan X-Trail just from this rear 3/4. We come around behind and I think it's nice. I think it's a good boxy reinterpretation of the RAV4 nameplate, which was always a slightly off-road name from when it started. So that's my take on it. Leave your thoughts down below. What you can't deny though is that it's basically the same size as the car it replaces. In fact, almost identical, only 5mm shorter and riding on an identical wheelbase. But what about the price? Well, no surprises for guessing, they're up across the board. Now you can get the full story on the Chasing Cars website, but basically the GX entry grade is $3,730 dearer, and private/family buyers will want at least the GXL. That's over 50 grand once on the road, and the Cruiser all-wheel drive is now $63,440, up nearly 6 grand. Plug-in hybrids start at $58,840 and the GR Sport will be $66,340 before on-road costs. Inside, you can see a lot of the previous RAV4's hardpoints. This center console, for example, has a very familiar look and feel to it. That said, Toyota's done a pretty good job on updating this car to feel nice and modern. Touches of BZ4X in here with the steering wheel. You've also got a more airy feeling in here thanks to this dash piece, which has been lowered by 40mm. And I think that really does make a big difference to the feel inside this RAV4. It's got a bit more of an airy, open vibe to it than the car it replaces. And I think that's a good thing. Technology has also made some pretty big leaps. We've got the new Arene operating system. This is the first car globally to launch that. So far, we haven't had much of a chance to play around with it, which is a little bit unfortunate, but there are people saying out there that it is a Tesla rivaling operating system. I don't think so. This 12.9-inch touchscreen doesn't quite do all of those things, but you do get enhanced connective services ability to lock and unlock the car from your phone and also open and close the windows and the sunroof if your car is equipped with that. So I think that's good. We've also got the ability to have twin wireless charging pads. Now in this Edge, you only get one, but in the XSE, I believe, and the Cruiser, you get two. XSE and Cruiser also upgrade with ventilated seats. And that brings me to my next complaint. Again, we haven't spent a huge amount of time driving this car, so I can't say for sure if I hate the touchscreen HVAC controls, but they are in there. There's a persistent bar across the bottom that includes the recirculate function and heated seats at all time. And you've also got physical buttons to adjust the temperature, but we'll have to wait and see how that plays out in the real world. There are some big chunky buttons that we love to see, for example, for drive mode, for switching this car into EV mode, and you've got this one here for trail, snow, and normal settings too. Great to see. USB-C charging at up to 15 watts, one on either side, nice and easily accessible. Practicalities are pretty good. The standard ones you get, nice chunky cup holders, door bins that feel very much the same as the old car, and we'll finish off with this interesting detail in this edge. Obviously you've got this sort of anodized bar here which matches on the steering wheel and the stitching around the seats. Cool to see, nice and interesting. But for the storage bin, you don't press a button to open it that way. It's actually double-sided, so I can open it towards you on the camera. Ooh. And here we see the issues with this. Open it towards me, and if I press both buttons, I can actually flip it upside down and use it as a table. Novel, sure, but as you saw just then, it is a little bit awkward and does rattle around a little bit. This is a pre-production car, so we'll give it a bit of a pass mark today, but I wonder how well that's going to hold up over time. Seating, nice and comfortable though, power adjustment for me as the driver, manual adjust for the passenger in this edge, and the material feels quite nice. It's a synthetic leather upholstery, but it doesn't feel super cheap or hard or nasty. So yeah, interesting updates to the RAV4's interior here. Definitely a focus on technology without sacrificing practicality. And as I said, we'll have to see how it deals with real world situations and how this touchscreen stands up to everyday use very soon. And to the back seat, which, as you can see, is pretty bloody brilliant for a family SUV. It doesn't get much wrong, this RAV4. I've got really good knee room, good toe room, reasonable amount of headroom there, and it's also got a 2-position backrest, so I can recline even further over my shoulder. Look at that, super comfy. Fold down armrest, 2 cup holders in there. We've still got a decently sized door bin in there, good for bottles, 15-watt USB-C chargers and ventilation, and we've got map pockets as well. All the basics covered then in this RAV4, though I must say it doesn't really move the game of back seats on in any way, but then it probably doesn't have to. It's fit for purpose, nice soft materials, pretty comfortable, and finally, a great view out that's even better now that that front dashboard is a little bit lower. Before we come to inside the boot, I'll come back to design of the exterior briefly. I really love this color, daintree green, I believe it's called. I think it looks sharp, looks nice, looks different from a classic Toyota red. There are a couple of strange details, a little bit forestery back here, the world's smallest Toyota badge, certainly the smallest Toyota badge I've seen on a new product, but overall, pretty cohesive, pretty good looking car. And because it's a Toyota, we have lots and lots and lots of beeping as the power tailgate goes up. What else would you expect? We find a really decently sized boot, very similar to before. This one's accessorized with a rubber floor mat, and it also still comes with a space saver spare tire, even though this is the all-wheel drive hybrid model, which is great to see. Now we know the RAV4 is all hybrid, but what about the hybrid under the bonnet? Well, it still uses a 2.5 litre petrol engine at the heart of things, and actually for 2026 and this new car in Australia with Euro 6D emissions, we lose power. It's down 20 kilowatts in this all-wheel drive model from 163 to 143 kilowatts. And having driven it around the proving ground back to back with the previous gen RAV4, you do feel it. That said, a lot of the systems feel a bit more sophisticated. It's quieter, the traction control works better, and I think you're probably not going to notice losing that 20 kilowatts unless you're really hammering it, trying to get up to 110 k's an hour on a motorway on-ramp or something like that. But you do notice it. As for the plug-in hybrid that's coming, you can get up to 227 kilowatts and all-wheel drive in the GR Sport flagship. I'm really excited to try that, 0 to 100 k's an hour in under 5.8 seconds, so that should be pretty exciting. Fuel efficiency is also a big deal for the RAV4, and the numbers aren't confirmed as I'm filming this right now. Previously, an all-wheel drive RAV4 would have done 4.8 litres per 100 k's in the combined ADR cycle, and looking to the Toyota Camry sedan with a similar upgraded hybrid system, we'd expect that to fall down to 4.2, 4.3 litres per 100 k's, which would be pretty spectacular for a family SUV, so let's wait and see how that turns out. We'll keep our full thoughts until the RAV4's local launch, but initial signs for driving dynamics are unsurprisingly good. It is much the same as the old car, with generally better refinement and smoothness across the board. We had 3 small niggles with the examples we drove though. One was elevated wind noise, the other was a stiffer steering feel with a bit more on-centre weight and glugginess than before. Also, with upsized alloy wheels, the 20-inch equipped Cruiser seemed to be a little bit firmer. Seems almost like ride quality may have regressed in the new generation RAV4, but we'll find all that out when we drive it on the road properly. And for now, we can say it is a mighty impressive machine that is sure to continue to resonate with Aussie buyers. When the RAV4's predecessor launched 6 years ago, it was a massive change for the nameplate. Today, it's a much more iterative change for the new RAV4. It feels like Toyota's nipped and tucked everything that we complained about with the old car and changed a few things, including styling, cabin design, and all those sorts of things to make it just a little bit better. And I really don't think that's a bad thing. The RAV4 was only just coming into its sales success last year, this year, and so the new car will step in pretty seamlessly to continue that trend, at least in our opinion. Everything seems to be pretty hunky-dory. What will matter though is pricing. With an influx of cheaper Chinese rivals, Toyota will have to be careful about not pricing itself out of contention with the RAV4. One thing you won't have to worry about with this car though is depreciation. I'd love to hear your thoughts and comments down below on the new RAV4. What should we do with this car when it launches in the second quarter of 2026? Should we put it into a comparison with all of its rivals? I think so. Maybe have a say what you'd like to see the new RAV4 come up against when that time comes around. As always, thank you very much for watching Chasing Cars, and make sure to hit subscribe if you haven't done so already.